it's good to see you back on the Katie Phang Show. Convicted felon Donald Trump and J.D. Vance showed immense disrespect for Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky yesterday in the Oval Office. But as I discussed with Ambassador McFaul earlier in the show, the bigger picture takeaway, Trump-Vance showed that the White House is ready to welcome authoritarianism over democracy. Republicans then later shaming themselves even more than usual by showing support for Trump.
It's completely ridiculous. And honestly, the more I was watching it, the more I was like, this is giving WWE. This is giving a Vince McMahon production.
Yeah.
It felt very much planned. Like their intention was to try and prove or gaslight the American people into believing that Zelensky is somehow uncouth or not ready to lead or not trustworthy. And it felt like a setup, right down to the question that far-right propagandist, quote, new media reporter asked when he said, why aren't you wearing a suit? The entire purpose was not to show diplomacy and to sign this rare earth minerals doctrine that they want to have together, but rather to embarrass and humiliate Zelensky. And I think it fell flat on its face. Now, I did wear a suit to your show today, but that is for the comfort for any conservative viewers you have. I want to make sure they can hear what I'm saying today.
So yesterday, Veer, we learned Trump is planning to sign an executive order to make English the official language of the United States. A mí es increíble que él está pensando que todo el mundo tiene que hablar solamente en inglés. So for Donald Trump and others, I just said it's incredible to me that Donald Trump thinks that the entire world should only have to speak in English. In my opinion, V, this is just more anti-immigrant sentiment from him to stoke division and to feed some red meat to his MAGA base.
You're entirely correct. So here on Under the Desk, we have three buckets that we put the Trump information into. The first one are things he does that are illegal and unconstitutional. We have to pay a ton of attention to that. Then there's the stuff he does for the grift. Donald Trump is not a long-term thinker. He is a short-term thinker who kind of monkey branches from one get-rich-quick to one rug pull to one short-term decision every single day. What can he do to get immediate gratification? What can he do to enrich himself? That's bucket two. And bucket three are things he does to overwhelm our nervous systems, to cause outrage, to cause distraction. And an executive order like saying English has to be the national language, this falls into bucket three for me. This is something he's doing as a distraction to try and soak up more media attention, to try and get people to not pay attention to the deeply unconstitutional and unpopular things that he does.
And this week, Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt announced the White House will control which outlets participate in the pool that covers presidential events and shares material with other media outlets, which was a duty that was previously determined by the White House Correspondents Association. V, you are just doing an amazing job in independent media. I'm trying to hold the line here where I am. How important is it, though, to show that the dismantling of the free press is yet a huge pillar of Donald Trump and his autocratic ways?
You know, a lot of folks will say, I only watch UV, or I'm only watching social media news, or I'm not tuned into the mainstream media anymore. And I've always fought to say we are better when we're together. And I think what Caroline Leavitt is doing is trying to force that divide and continue to push the idea that Americans can't trust institutions. Americans can't trust the press. When in fact, a lot of the reporting I do comes from your show, even comes from some incredible reporting that is happening in the mainstream, but maybe they like the way I say it better, or they just like being under a desk when they hear their news. What I think she's doing is continuing to benefit herself by trying to show that we're so divided. And when she put out this thing saying, oh, I'm going to offer a new media seat, to me, I did not apply because it was very clear to me that this was intended to be a propaganda seat. When you are a new media reporter, you don't go in there like maybe you would and be able to just ask your question. Your questions have to be pre-approved because you don't have that legacy yet that the White House Correspondents Association comes with, where they're not going to make them get pre-approved questions. So every single person who sits in that seat is there to further the agenda of Trump. They're not there to ask genuine questions on record or to hold him accountable. And now with her saying that they're going to pick the entire press pool, I mean, I can't tell what's worse, when he wouldn't do press conferences at all, or this, which simply just exists to prompt Caroline into giving more propaganda, more talking points from the Trump admin. Just like that question with why doesn't Zelensky wear a suit, that was a setup to try and reaffirm what their agenda agenda was for the day. It was not a genuine question. And of all the people that she's invited into that room so far, they have all been far-right loyalists of Trump. There hasn't been one new media source that was there to genuinely ask a question or hold power accountable.
Which is why you don't ever hear them ask Donald Trump, hey, Emperor, you're not wearing any clothes. V. Spear, Under the Desk News. Thank you, my friend, for being here. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Katie. See you soon.